Hello, just a bit of a bonus topic today that kind of expanded into a little bit more than expected, but all the Sagittarius Cups guides are done, and if you've been looking at the clan Discord, well, this is kind of what my heart has been mulling over recently. So without further ado, let's talk about a little story. Well, I've been sitting here with about 53,000 carats, took the carrot estimators with a couple bonus tickets, and wow, I have about 61,700 carats plus the 27 tickets coming up shortly after the about 4,000 we're going to get from the next event. So I should probably put this towards some sort of SSR or support card that's going to really further the account. With these 400 tickets, well, I have about a 95% chance of not getting absolutely screwed. Even if it's at 1 LB, it's possible, but 2 LB specifically, I can just use a shard and an SSR ticket. That means it's basically a singular nice nature I need to pull without maxing out MLB, and then I am fine. If I get 1 LB, well, we call that in the business unlucky. So 95% chance is statistical significance. That's good enough for me with my luck. Hopefully we won't even have to go to 600. I don't know, I'll have to reevaluate the account if that happens. But looking at the timeline, I knew I wanted a Wit card. I have Kittison Black, I have Super Creek 3 LB, and I have, what's it called? El Condor Power 3 LB. I know. Oh, got lucky. I don't have a good Wit card. My best one's Matsukane, which is good enough, but I wanted a premium one. So the two options that were coming up are Fine Motion and Oguri Cap Wit, which a lot of content creators and the general JP consensus is that Fine Motion is just the best wit stat stick in the game currently. Hearing that, I was like, oh, I should probably go to Fine Motion. And then I realized, oh yeah, I'm also a late surger main, and I really am enjoying just having On Your Left every run. It really helps out with a lot of characters, especially like Measure Orion, where you have to do a very difficult option of winning the Triple Crown with a character that has a skill that only procs in 6th position. Instead of that, why not just get it from a support card? You don't have to worry about it. Okay? A lot of characters are like that, especially late surgers. That's usually the one that they try to keep away from you, just like how Enclosers try to keep away straightaway spurt. So, yeah, I kind of got led down a rabbit hole, and this is kind of what I found. Alright, just a disclaimer before I get into this. I am a late surger enjoyer. I think this is very well known, so I'm a little bit biased towards the late surger cards, a little bit more biased towards Nice Nature Wit. This is also napkin math. I get pretty deep into it. I think all my calculations are pretty good, but with this, there is the possibility for issues coming up, and at the end of the day, there is some variables that are left out for simplicity reasons. Finally, we are considering only the max limit break of these cards. Nice Nature, especially Nice Nature, it gets a lot worse when it's not MLB. That is why she's kind of considered a whale or a dolphin card, while Fine Motion is considered just a good all-around card, is because Fine Motion can be run at 3 LB and is still very good. Nice Nature loses 5% race bonus, which is kind of her entire shtick. This is meant for education purposes, and it was basically, I went through this process, and I'm kind of showing it to you all, just saying, hey, you all can just go through this process as well in order to evaluate cards on your own. Both cards are fine. They will not break your account. If you have either of these cards, you did not make a mistake. All right, the boring disclaimers out of the way. Let's begin. So like I said, we have the timeline. Tomoma Crossed and the Oguri Cap plus the Nice Nature banner. That is January 22nd. And it's estimated at the start of March we're getting Fine Motion. So this means we have 6 weeks between them. So I can get Nice Nature Wit 6 weeks earlier than I can Fine Motion. That's 6 more weeks of enjoyment. But Fine Motion is better for the 1 week in between that and Mant. So Fine Motion, if I were to pull it, I have 1 good week before Mant. During Mant, which is in between the Narita Top Road banner and the Light Hello banner, which starts the start of Grand Live, is 19 weeks. In this time and Make a New Track, Nice Nature is commonly believed to be the best Wit card, if not the best card, because of the 15% race bonus, and this allows you to use something like a Kittison Black in order to boost your speed while still hitting the 50% race bonus requirement that man has. Fine Motion's only 5% behind. She's a perfectly serviceable card during this time. However, the next scenario, Grand Live, Fine Motion is commonly believed to be the better Wit card because just her raw wit output, and we're back to training. So we have 19 weeks through Mint, and we have 19 weeks through Grand Live until we get to Grand Masters with the release of the End All Be All Wit Call card, as believed. But we will see when we get there. Measure Romanu, looking at her card, she's absolutely insane. She basically gives free 20% training effectiveness on a card that's a wit card. So with that, at that point we have Measure Romanu as first place. And then Fine Motion and Nice Nature take a back seat. So, adding all these up, I get a bonus 5 weeks. Woo, end of discussion, right? No, I mean, this is a pretty flawed logic because, well, during Mint, Fine Motion's a perfectly serviceable card, and it's well believed in Grand Live that Nice Nature kind of falls off a little bit. So, sure, you can say, well, Fine Motion is a much better card in Grand Live, so even though you get 5 extra bonus weeks, it's not close to what Fine Motion can do in Grand Live. We'll talk about that. So let's compare the cards. Well, the link's down here of what the stuff I chose, but the difference between the two cards kind of synthesized down into 12.5% bonus of friendship bonus for Fine Motion, 30% mood effect, plus 35 initial wit, versus an additional wit bonus for Nice Nature, 5% race bonus, and 5 initial friendship gauge. We're going to go through each of those, but they essentially are separate stats that are good in different situations. The other major thing that Fine Motion has over Nice Nature is she has very good generic skills in her hints, which are right-handed for right-handed tracks, Fall Runner, which we're actually moving out of the fall season, but until next year, you do have right-handed, outer post proficiency, the best skill in the game, straightaway acceleration, nimble navigator, and corner adept. And if you're our pace chaser, Speed Star is a 50-50, but it is a very good pace chaser skill for the half of the runs that you get. Nice Nature, on the other hand, let's be honest, holy moly, she has some of the worst skills in the game. The only real good one from her hints is corner acceleration on certain corner tracks, and, well, the reason why you pick her is on your left, and you get on your left if you get her third event, which happens like 90% of the time. You do get a free hint for Ramp Up. We'll go through her events as well, but that's pretty synonymous with Corner Depth, let's be honest. So for the tally, what do you really have? So far, just on the initial stats before we go through any trainings or anything, Nice Nature gets 5 bonus bond, which will tally up at the end, and Fine Motion gets 35 wit. So Fine Motion has 35 initial wit. Pretty good. Their events. They each have 3 events and 2 hint events or random events. And the stat breakdowns are pretty much here from the 2. So Nice Nature gets a mood, 20 energy, 5 speed, 5 guts, 10 wits, 15 bond from her base events. Fine Motion gets 12 wit, 45 skill points, 5 speed, guts, and bond from their base events. And you have the RNG for Fine Motion being 5 speed and 10 skill points, a hint or 15 guts, and 10 bond, while Nice Nature gets 20 energy, a hint or some more mood and energy, or mood and max energy, and 10 bonus bond as well. So if you cancel stuff out, well, this is what you have base. If you cancel some stuff out, you have 12 wit, 7 speed, 5 guts, 5 bond versus 30 energy, 10 wit, 5 speed, guts, 15 bond, and a mood. Let's just break it down even more to what is the very difference between these two. For the events, we have 2 wit and 2 speed for Fine Motion and 50 skill points, and 30 energy, 10 bond, and a mood for Nice Nature, and a bonus mood for Nice Nature. So just from the events, from the raw stats, let's ignore the hints for now. There is one thing I forgot to mention is I canceled out this middle RNG because honestly, for both of these, I think over half the time you're picking the hint because it's corner, adept, and ramp up. If you do pick the stats, it's a little bit hard to kind of get the value of 4 max energy because basically every time you top up energy, it's plus 4 energy. But just looking at this, honestly, Nice Nature events kind of clear they're just kind of better than the Fine Motion ones by a little bit. We'll get to the effect of the mood, but we're going to add this to our tally. And right now we have 37 wit, 2 speed, and 50 skill points for Fine Motion. And we got 30 energy, 15 bond, and a mood for Nice Nature. Again, this is napkin math. We're probably going to miss stuff, but hey, it's better than nothing. I don't think anyone's gone this deep into the rabbit hole. So let's go even deeper. Hey, look, training. So training actually has a base value, and that's based on the actual whatever events we are in. So, or sorry, whatever scenario we're in. So in the horror scenario, well, your intelligence training is 6 wit and 2 speed plus 3 skill points. So the equation, which will be throughout every scenario, is essentially your base training value plus your stat bonus multiplied by the growth rate bonus, which is your character. We're going to ignore that because that is going to be the same for both, times 1 plus the mood bonus times the mood effect. So essentially this means that mood effect, every 10 mood effect is going to be 2% effectiveness essentially for great mood. We're going to assume great mood to make it the most generous as possible for training, especially for fine motion, because this is fine motion's big strength. In addition, training effectiveness is just a straight multiplier after that. We have the friendship bonus after, which is, the stats above. She has 37.5% and Nice Nature has 25% of that. And then at the very end, there's actually another hidden stat called participant count bonus, which means, and this is why Alharu has much higher taps than your A finale, because, well, all the little extra little bonus pips from your other teammates count towards this participant count bonus. So at the very end, we're going to consider this to be 3 because we're going to assume like 2 cards and a bonus little person for it. But they are technically both for each one. Each of them was going to give you an additional 5%. So without further ado, let's do some math. So fine motion starts with the 6 base. She has 1 wit bonus for 7. And then with that, you're going to do 7 times 1 plus 0.026 because that's 30% bonus mood effect for 8.82. You're going to have your training effectiveness multiplied by 15%, 1.15. And then the 10.143 times the 37.5% friendship bonus is going to be 13.946. Nice Nature, on the other hand, starts with wit bonus, and that means that she starts at 8 and then goes through the same math. And although having a lot less friendship bonus, she actually gets 13.8 because of the additional base stats from the wit bonus. We're going to find throughout this that wit bonus may be just the absolutely best stat in the game as your bonuses right now because all of the trainings are so low. So with that, fine motion does clear with an additional 1% wit per tap, or 0.1 wit per tap. Not going to bore you through the rest of them, really, for that level, but when you are at level 5, you have a 10 base. So basically every single training that level past 1 is going to give an additional bonus to the star. It's essentially plus 1 wit bonus. It also will give, for the secondary stat, based on the ratio from wit to, or from your main to that, which for the... Sorry, I am kind of rambling a bit, but for wit training, it is a 33%. So at level 3, it'll give you 1, and at level 5, it'll give you an additional 1. So during base, instead of starting with 6, we're starting with 10. We're going through the same math. You can check my math on the screen, or you can just say that, hey, fine motion does have 5.8%, or in a bonus 1.2 wit per tap. For every training that you do that is a friendship training on a level 5 training facility. Okay, so the interesting thing about this is that, and this is what content creators have said too, is that, hey, if you get a double friendship, well, the wit bonus on Nice Nature is actually better than fine motion. That's not necessarily exactly true just because of the straight raw stats of fine motion, but if you add, let's say, Matikani Futikaru's all of her stats, which is especially good because of the friendship bonus that gets added to Nice Nature's lacking friendship bonus, as well as the mood effect that Nice Nature doesn't have. If you do the math combined, you actually have Nice Nature pulling back a little bit. It's only an additional 1.3 wit per tap, or 4.3%, whereas before was 5.8%. This is known as the rule of squares or the rule of cubes in math. Essentially, it is the process that's a very simple concept of, hey, if you have 4 points to spend, 2 times 2 will always be more than 1 times 3. So because she was lacking in mood effect and she was lacking in friendship bonus, and Matakani Futikaru only adds +1 to wit bonus, the additional wit bonus is going to be stronger because that is what is lacking in the other card. So you want to make as much of a square or a cube as possible between all the stats to get the most effectiveness out of a training. So The purpose of this is to say that we are going to look at these two cards in a vacuum, because as it goes and you add more cards, both these cards are going to perform very well. All right, so this is the best case scenario for Nice Nature Wit, which is going to happen at the start of every single run, which is a level 1 training facility without any friendship training. So with these mats, we do not have any of the friendship. We only have the mood effect, the TEF, and the base stats. And so the wit bonus is going to carry incredibly well, and actually Nice Nature gets more wit than a fine motion by negative 0.8 wit per tap, because we're doing it from the side of fine motion. But Nice Nature actually has 8.8% or a 0.8 wit additional per tap for fine motion. A lot of this time it'll actually round down, unfortunately, but there are situations where she'll get a bonus wit. That being said, because of this, throughout the entirety of your career, you're going to be increasing your levels of your training facilities. And in fact, wit is not necessarily like speed, where speed just kind of jumps ahead of everybody in Aoharu. So I'm going to consider for this map that everything is a friendship training on a level 3 training facility, which is kind of the balance between the two. It is still quite good for fine motion at a 3.9% effectiveness. It's not 5.8%, but it is 3.9% over Nice Nature, or 0.6 wit per tap. In addition to wit, there is the speed gain from it. This is also has been calculated. All the math is on the screen, but essentially fine motion, this is one of her great strengths. She has 15% more speed generation, which goes for another 0.8 speed per tap on a friendship for a level 3 training facility. So the differences between the two, the fine motion bonus for a no friendship is minus 0.8 wit per tap, but 0.13 speed per tap. So she does gain more speed but less wit on a no friendship tap. And for a level 3 rainbow friendship, she gets 3.9% or 0.68 wit per tap and 0.8 speed per tap. Okay? So you're wondering, you may be wondering, hey, that doesn't seem like that much. And we're going to go through that. So how many taps do you think you do for a run? Well, you have 72 turns in the game. 8 are your required races. Normally, depends technically on which UMA you're running, but usually it's around 8 goals that you have to complete. And I would say that if on a good run, you probably should do about 4 bonus races. Okay, so those should be subtracted from your training. So you have a total of 60 turns of training. With that, I'm going to use the quite generous estimate that, hey, you're probably doing 20 speed, 20 wit, and 20 other trainings. It never really comes out to that. And honestly, it kind of depends which cards you're running, but I think this is a good estimate. I think 20 is rather generous on how many friendship trainings you're going to do. 16 friendship taps, I think, is more than you will get in a run, but I am going to do that as the math. So 16 friendship taps and 4 no friendship taps. This is what would happen in the first part of the year before fine motion or Nice Nature would hit their friendship gauge. I think it is reasonable to assume these two will happen. I think it is a little bit favoring the fine motion side, but we are going to go through it. So we do the math here, and over the course of the 4 taps of no friendship, you're going to have minus 3.5 wit from this and plus 0.5 speed from it for fine motion. And through the 16 trainings, if you multiply this by the 16, you get 10.9 wit and 12.8 speed. So that's going to be a total of 7 bonus wit and 12.8 speed. A lot lower than I think people are realizing. There's a couple of things to recognize as contingencies for this. I'm going to add 15% bonus for the participation bonus, just going to happen over the course of the time, and we're going to also add 10% in stats for mood bonus affecting the non-wit taps. So if your fine motion is on, let's say, stamina, she will give a little bit in mood bonus towards it. They both have the same training effectiveness, so this doesn't affect it. So I'm going to estimate the training as 9 bonus wit, 15 speed, and 3 stats, rounding up, for a total tally of 46 wit, 17 speed, 50 skill points, and 3 stats that could be on anything, versus 30 energy, 15 bond, and a mood for Nice Nature. So fine motion is a lot better at training, but it's not as much as really you would expect, because both these cards are built very well, and they're both SSRs, and Side Games really looks into this stuff and designs cards to not absolutely power creep each other. So let's move on to race bonus, which is Nice Nature's strategy. Let's look at a couple careers. If you're vodka, you have your maiden race, you have your G1, you have your G2, you have a bunch of G1s as your actual races. One of these is the Rima Keenan, which you're assumed to lose, but really her career is mostly 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 G1 races and a G2 race. You look at Measure Odober, it's sort of the same thing. You have 5, 6, 7, 8 G1 races. One of them is the Rima Keenan you're meant to lose, and G2 and a G2 race at the end. Winning ticket is a G2 race and 7 G1 races. Ogiri Cap is a maiden race, 3,000 fans, which will probably be a G1 or a G2 race. A bunch of G1 races. You're required 2 G1 races you need to do in the spring of your senior year, and 2 more G1 races. Haruura is probably the one that races the least because she is a maiden race and a bunch of G2 races, because Dirt doesn't really have any G1 races until later on in this career. So you probably are doing 2 G2 races to hit your 12,000 fans. A G3 race, a G1 race, a G3 race, a G1 race, and a G1 race as a loss. She's very much an outlier to this, so what I'm going to say is the average, quote unquote, is going to be like what Winning Ticket does, which is essentially a G2 followed by 6 G1 races, and you should, like I said before, be running about 4 bonus races. Some of the characters have it built in with like Ogiri Cap, others don't, but I think it's reasonable to assume you're probably doing Hopeful Stakes and you're probably doing another G1 race, at least one. And I think you're doing 2 G2 races, or a singular additional G1 race over the course of the entire career. If you're not, this is probably why you don't have enough skill points. I'm going to be honest. So we're going to assume that we do a maiden race, we do a G1 goal, a G2 gold, and 6 G1 goals, just like Winning Ticket's career, as well as 2 G2 optional races and 2 G1 optional races. What do those give? Well, that's what they give. A G1 win is 45 skill points and 10 stats. A G2, G3 win is 8 stats and 35 skill points. And then the maiden race win, G1 goal win, and G2 goal win, those are all on screen as well. The big thing to note is even if you lose these, so all the ones that say 3rd and 5th, your skill points are unaffected. You are only affected by stats. Basically, a G1 turns into a G2 if you lose it. Okay? So what do we get throughout the course of a career? Well, through your G1 wins, you have 90 skill points, 70, so it's all the stuff's on the screen, the math's been done. You synthesize that down and you get 45 stats over the course of the all stats and the regular stats, and 490 skill points plus 21 all stats. So the 45 stats are the combination between the G1 and G2 wins, as well as the 3 stats plus 3 for the maiden wins. The all stats are through the goal races itself. If you condense down the all stats into regular stats, it's 105 stats, which we consider as random stats. You merge them all together, and throughout the course of the career, your races you're generally going to do are going to be about 150 stats and 490 skill points. This kind of makes sense because at the end of a career, if you do like absolutely nothing bonus, you get about 1,500 skill points, 1,000 from the base stuff and trainings, and 500 from the races. All right, there is additionally, race bonus affects every single goal in the game through the scenario. So on screen is what every single URA and Haru event basically does. Notably, I have chosen to do the middle option for round 4 because at some point I think you're going to have to go middle. You can do Turf Queens for more, but I don't think it's very smart. But this is what the Haru stuff gives, and the URA finale, as you know, like instead of 10, you normally get between 13 and 14. This is why they say you need 35% race bonus, because that is that threshold for all of these, gives you an additional +1 at 35%. In addition, Bitter Glass at the very end gives you an additional 50 skill points. A lot of people forget that. So all these combined give you 46 all stats and 305 skill points, which is an additional 230 stats and 305 skill points. Let's add this to the 150 stats and 490 skill points, and you get 380 stats and 795 skill points. I'd be surprised if anyone's watching right now because of how much math we just did in a short span. But hey, if you're still here, if you divide that by 20, future burb here, we had to do a jump cut here because it turns out after all this really complicated math, well, relatively speaking, we just failed to divide by 20 properly. So 5% race bonus actually gives 19 stats and 40 skill points up from the 387.95. So Nice Nature just gets these bonus stats. We're going to add them to her tally, and then we're going to cancel out the skill points and the stats from Fine Motion for a bonus 16 stats. All right. So We are going to synthesize the 30 energy and the 15 bond and the 1 mood. I think it is very reasonable because if any one of her events, any random event happens, any of her chain events happen, she's going to essentially get to friendship 1 and even 2 taps faster than Fine Motion does. That combined with the fact that she has not 1 but 2 mood ups. These 2 mood ups, if either of them hit, basically you don't ever have to recreation, so you're gaining a tap at the start. I think it is reasonable. I think the actual number is closer to 1.5, but just being fair, reasonable that you're going to get a free tap at some point in most, if not all, of your runs with Nice Nature in terms of a free friendship tap, because she's going to get there either quicker or you're just not going to have to recreation at the start of the round. Again, this is based on the deck you run, but you can actually just run Nice Nature with like Aishin Flash and then like Matakani Futiko Wit, and that you have like 7 mood ups, and there's an argument that you don't even need Rico at that point. So it's subjective, I know, but hey, you gotta just take every part of these cards and put them together. So let's say you have a bonus free tap. I'm going to value that about 30. Again, hey, is this a simplification? Sure. Sometimes that extra tap's going to be a triple rainbow. Sometimes it's just going to be a white tap. But hey, 30 between 2 stats. A wit tap is going to be like 22 plus 9 most of the time, just a single rainbow. So a low estimate, I think, is 30 bonus stats of some type. Let's cancel out other stuff. We're going to take these random stats. We're going to cross out the wit and the speed and then put the rest into wit. And hey, Fine Motion gives 17 wit above Nice Nature and 10 bonus skill points. Congratulations, Fine Motion is the better card. We all just should get Fine Motion. Nice Nature sucks. GG, that's the end of the video, right? My professional, quote-unquote professional recommendation is, hey, yeah. They're the same card, man. 17 wit. On a low estimate, honestly, where we heavily weighted training. We literally said 20 friendship training or 16 friendship trainings throughout the course of a run, which is a high estimate on an ace run, let's be honest. Only 4 runs, which on like, team trials is going to be more aces. We're going to slowly be able to incorporate more and more runs as our cards get better. And, of course, only valuing that free tap as a 30 bomb rather than, hey, that you could get like a 54. Any good speed tap with 2 rainbows is going to be like 40 plus 20 power. That's 60 stats right there. I think there's a lot of considerations that quickly wipe out the 17 the 17 stat bonus that just Fine Motion has in wit and the 10 skill points. So, first recommendation, they're the same picture. I got some more stuff here. Like I said, the reason why you pick these cards is for their skills. They're the same wit output. They're slightly different and maybe more wit for Fine Motion, but more other stuff for Nice Nature because she gets there earlier, right? And the race bonus, especially how many times you race, you can modify your play style to choose, hey, I'm running Nice Nature, let's run more races. That's all hard to evaluate, but they're roughly the same. But Fine Motion does get Speed Star. She does get more greens. And Nice Nature does get on your left. And I think that's really what these cards are synthesized down to. Is, hey, are you a front runner main? Is it fall? Are you a pace chaser main? Do you like Speed Star? Do you generally want decently good skills across the board because you run a lot of different race styles? Like I said, front runners, you need to get your 3 greens for groundwork, and this is an option for right-handed, and if you're a Chad, outer post proficiency. We love gambling groundwork on OPP. Speed Star is going to be good for the pace chaser, but again, you're gambling for it 50-50. And Nice Nature, if you're a late surger main and you enjoy not having to farm for Slick Surge, on your left is there every single run that she procs her finale event. So, do the card that is going to give you the good skills for your role and for the races that you enjoy running Champions Meeting for, because that's really honestly the highest level of this game is Champions Meeting or Team Trials. These both give a gold, so Team Trials, woo! All right. The reason why I say this is we are coming up into a year where there is going to be a lot of absolutely ridiculous wit cards. Now, some of these you probably haven't seen, but I think if you do the math on these, you'll find they are either equal to or slightly behind Fine Motion and Nice Nature. For example, Mr. CB will be the be-all end-all end closer card. You only need rank 1 for it too, but like she's going to give you the gold ship alt in a gold form. She is very good for end closers. Sweep Tosher Wit card is a very good Wit generation card, but struggles because she doesn't have any Tef. A lot of these have strengths and weaknesses, just like how Nice Nature is very strong in race bonus, but less strong in training. Well, Sweep Tosha Wit is going to be very strong in Wit generation and very bad otherwise, but she does come with an incredible end skill. Oguri Cap speed is, if you do the math, she is probably about 10% back of fine motion, and it's like we're talking about 50 Wit here, right? Like, who cares? You're going to have a very good pace skill that happens all the time. She has a lot of backside space skills that are going to help you throughout the career as well. Like, you're just getting skill point bonuses because of the hints that she gives you. Tokai Teo is coming out. She's just a jack of all trades. She has Professor of Curvature. So if you don't have Kidison, hey, that's Professor of Curvature right there. She has quite good stats too when you look at her. Like, look at it. A lot of these cards are kind of based around the fine motion template. Instead of 35% or 37.5%, they have 35% friendship bonus or 30% friendship bonus, some sort of mood bonus, a wit bonus or a speed bonus, and some race bonus. And it may not be as strong as Nice Nature's race bonus, or may not be as strong as Fine Motion's friendship bonus, but the other stats are there, and it's sort of just kind of on the graph of like, hey, all these cards are going to pump out wit. So just pick the card that is best for your playstyle. Another thing, I just kind of like Air Groove Wit kind of looks like a incredible A-Surger card, so it's there, but she's really only good in mile races. That's her problem. Fast and Furious kind of falls off because there's not that many miles. All right, not you. Air Groove is bad. I'm sorry. I've tried to play with this card. You do get Spurt, though, but it just feels bad. You're losing like 20 Wit per tap. So, again, pick the card that best represents your favorite style. When you get to Grandmasters, you're going to be running probably Measure or Ramonu plus one of the cards that gives you a skill for your style anyways. I don't think Speedstar is really going to be on that list unless you are a true pace chaser. Like, you're only for pace chasers and you're 50-50ing runs. There's just so many other Wit cards that are going to be coming out that I think both these cards are just going to be a supplementary card for the time that you are going to be running 2 Wit cards, which when it comes to Grandmasters, a lot of times you're going to be running solo Wit because the stat bonuses for the stat caps for speed and power are going to be increasing significantly. So this has been Burb. This has been I don't know. I'm not even going to call it a poll guy. I just kind of went down a rabbit hole and I just wanted to share it. So, Nice Nature and Fine Motion, they're both good cards. Hey, I'm just going to put this graphic up again. This graphic's funny. I can do memes. They're the same picture. Argue about it in the comments. This has been Burb out.